Well, we are back. Welcome to the Reese Report. I'm the mouth of the North, Andrew Reese, and I am joined by who is likely going to be a regular on this show going forward, and that's Jose Carlos Gomes, also known as Jose G, JCG, and Host AG. It just depends on what he is on what particular day. But he's going to be our regular on the show going forward. I've been looking for a co-host for a while, and the only guy that's regularly available is this man right here. So get used to seeing his mug. You know, all right, get used to it. So he's going to be joining me when I want to rant and when we want to talk about stuff, whether it bothers us or not. But yes, what's bothering us will be returning at some point because there's gonna be a lot of stuff that bothers me this year. But tonight's topic, Jose. First of all, let's go. I want to thank uh, everyone on Twitter that's followed me and that has added me as a subscription to my show, despite the fact that I've done no shows since the Super Bowl. Thank you. I've gotten to over 700 subscribers, and I know it's all people that just happen to see me on Twitter, like my comments, like what I've said, and added me. Content is coming. All right. It's going to come fast and furious. All right. Jose and I are going to try to do this as much as we can. We're going to bring picks into the equation as much as we can. So if you like gambling a little bit of your allowance money here and there, tune into the Reese Report. Give you some nice tips. All right. Me and Jose, believe both of us got it right last year. I'm not sure. Did you have the Eagles in the Super Bowl?
Yep.
Okay, so I had the Eagles, and I was very happy with the results. So keep that in mind there. And we're going to bring you football. We're going to bring you basketball. Jose's the college master. I'm bringing the college master to you. We're going to be talking about what happened in the football draft. We're going to be talking about our preseason predictions coming up soon. It's getting to that time period. We're in early July. We're going to do a little more hockey this year. So the Leafs are turning over a new leaf. We will get into them. The Raptors are about to have a very, very interesting season. And that brings us to the topic at hand, and that's Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. Today, we're going to be talking about what has gone on with them since Keith Pelley has taken over. And we're going to give you our comments on the events that have happened in the last few months. Now, I want to start off because my friend Jose and many of my friends are Portuguese. They lost a very special player named Diogo Jota, who unfortunately got into a car accident in Spain, lost control of his car after trying to make a move on the highway, blew a tire, and he lost his life along with his brother. I wanted to start the show off just by asking you your thoughts and feelings, Jose, because I know when it comes to Portugal, their soccer team, a lot of the players feel like sons and family members that died. So, what are your thoughts on Diogo Jota, unfortunately losing his life?
Well, it's a very sad time. Especially just I you know what, like, this is what I mean about people driving fast and not being careful of what they're doing. Like, I don't. It's sometimes we don't think about the consequences that it can lead to tragedies. He he this could have been this couldn't have happened, because if he was going slow, or he was going like 200 kilometers an hour supposedly, and then his tire blew and he lost control of his car. Because if a normal, like, I have friends that happened to their tires blown up on the highway going 100, and they still had control of their car. So for him to lose control, he must have been going very fast. Like, it's just sad. He was a great player. He was in his prime of his career, 28 years old. I feel sorry for the family, his
Yeah,
parents.
just got
His parents,
married, man.
yeah, just got married. His wife, three little kids.
Oh,
You know what? But at least, I'll give Liverpool their props. They're gonna pay his remaining 2 years
yeah,
of his contract to the family, and they're going to take care of his kids. And Ronaldo also said that he would take care of the family as well. There was a
yeah,
big thing for him not showing up, but he did the smartest thing, because if he showed up, there would have been a circus around him, and
yeah.
the
Good point.
and he didn't want all the attention to be on him, right?
Yeah,
Especially in a sad moment like that. So props to him, and it's just sad. It's just like when you lose like a young guy like that, just with a bright future ahead, But what are you
yeah.
gonna do? Stuff like this happens. It can happen to anybody. Just you have to be. Sometimes you have to be safe, man, and think of the consequences sometimes of what your actions do, right? So
Yeah, I mean, I think it's incredibly sad. I was shocked. I remember I sent the message to you, and you had found out before I did,
yeah,
and I was just like, "Wow, I can't believe it. He's really gone." And just the whole car thing is just so. It's just, I just think it's so avoidable. I just, I don't know how it feels because I'm not in his position, but it's like I just think to myself, why? Why drive a Lamborghini like that and put yourself at risk? But I'm not in that position. I don't have his cars, his money, his life. So it's just incredibly sad. I watched Diogo Jota a lot. I was actually a fan of his. I actually thought, he was a really good player, especially for Liverpool. He scored the winning goal for them to win the Premier League this year. I thought he was really good for Portugal. So it's really, really sad. Um, it's I don't know what else to say other than it's incredibly sad. But hey, let's dedicate the show to him, and God bless. And Ronaldo, what a great man off the field. The guy just knows what to say, what to do, and nothing but props to
100%,
him.
100%.
Um, so that was I had to bring that up because I know
Rest
a
in
lot of
peace.
a lot of
Rest in
my
peace.
friends and a lot of the people that watch the show are Portuguese, and I thought I'd just give Jose a chance to talk about that. But let's get to the topic at hand: Maple Leaf sports and entertainment. Um, Now, for those who don't know, they have taken over. Rogers has taken over the Leafs, Raptors, Toronto FC, and the Argos. And they also obviously own the Blue Jays. But the major takeover was Keith Pelley took over for Larry Tannenbaum, running the Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. Now, we have a series of events I'm going to go through that have happened since Keith Pelley's taken over. I won't get into the Argos. I'm just going to talk about Toronto FC, and I'm going to talk about the Raptors and the Leafs. Um, so we're going to start with, and the contrast between these moves are going to be amazing when I go through. We're going to start with the obvious, and that was the firing of Brendan Shanahan. Now, this is the worst kept secret in sports. Brendan Shanahan was on the last year of his deal. If the Leafs had failed in the playoffs, he was going to be gone. They did fail in the playoffs. We did not talk about this in depth, but basically, for those who don't know or are living under a rock, the Leafs blew a 2-0 series lead to the Florida Panthers and lost 2 games at home, 6-1 in losing in 7 to the eventual Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, um, which was the end of Brendan Shanahan. It's long overdue. I would not put this on Keith Pelley. I think he would have been gone no matter who was running the team. They got rid of Brendan Shanahan. They got rid of Kyle Dubas, and everyone knew Shanahan was next, and he's gone. Uh, I'll go through them all, and then we'll talk about each one. After that, month down the road, we saw the end of Masai Ujiri in Toronto. Now, I'm not going to get into details yet. I'm just going to tell you that there was an opposite reaction to Masai being gone by the fans. Everyone was upset. Everyone was pissed that he got fired. So you see Brendan Shanahan, who everyone wanted gone, despite the regular season success and no playoff success. Masai Ujiri, who has shepherded a horrible Raptors team for the last 5 years. No one wanted him gone because he won a championship for the team in 2019. We'll get into what I think about that as we go along. Then, after that, Toronto FC finally rid themselves of the Italian job, which is what I like to call Fernando Bernardeschi and Lorenzo Insigne, two of the highest paid players and worst disappointment players in the history of MLS and the history of Toronto FC. Finally, they were shown the door. and rightfully so. We'll get into that. That was after the firing and resignation of John Herdman, and as well as the replacement of all the management in Toronto FC. So you're seeing a trend here. And then we get to a guy that deservedly is gone, should have been gone 2 years ago, so you got something for him. A absolutely horrible player in the playoffs, and a guy who disappears when it matters most, and that's Mitch Marner, who is now a Vegas Golden Knight and is embarrassingly wearing number 93 for them. So those were the four significant moves. We're going to go through all of them, and we'll start at the top. And you can see how Jose's smiling right now because Brendan Shanahan, the Shanahan plan is finally done and over with, Jose. Are you happy that it's finally over?
Yes, and it should have been done years way many years before than it was this year. Um, I think he should have been gone maybe like I say 2 years already before this year, but they wanted to keep his contract and wait it out until the end. But dude, he's the one who caused this problem with the big four and all these big contracts. And this year, Traveling will try to freaking make some changes. And last year, I think he was up to him. Then I didn't let Marner get leave way before than he was supposed to. He wanted to write it out and stuff like that. So I just think he should have been gone already a long time ago. He should have been done maybe 2 years ago. He should have left when they lost in the first round to freaking Montreal's and this and that and all this bullshit that they lost to. I can't believe that they lost to Montreal in the first round playoffs. But anyways, it's hard. It's hard being a Leaf fan, man. Trust me, it's hard. It's just it comes from the upper management, from president to general manager to a bunch of retards that can lose two games at home, 6-1. Like, I understand, okay, Florida's a great team, okay? I'll give them props. But there's no way you lose two games at home, 5-1, like, or 6-1 at home. Especially game 7. Like, when the season's on the line and you go lose 6-1, like, I don't understand. I sometimes I feel like breaking my TV, but then after am I gonna get in trouble with the wife, and it's gonna cost me money. So I rather just swallow it and just freaking take it in and stuff like that. But it's difficult, man. It's difficult. Just especially what gone on during these years. Like they wanted this era, like these four guys to win the cup here in the league, Toronto, and they kept going, and kept going, there was no results. Like why are you gonna keep going back to the well if there's no water there? Like, get rid of them. They could have got rid of Willie Nylander. They could have gotten rid of freaking thing of Marner. One or the other. Like these guys are taking up $11 million of or $10 million of cap space, but you don't need these guys in the playoffs. You need like guys like Sam Bennett. Need like Brad Marchand. You need guys, sandpaper guys that can freaking grind and win the series for you in the playoffs. These guys are not. And I'll get to Marner when we get to Marner
Yeah.
because I have lots of things to say about Marner.
Yeah. Yes. So,
But
yeah, the Shanahan thing, like, it was a flawed plan from the start. I mean, and I remember having debates with you and many other of our friends when we were playing ball hockey and stuff. It's like, it's not going to work with four guys making that much money, and it's going to kill your depth. And the problem here is that's not talked about enough, Jose, is they're all the same type of player. Like Tavares, Marner, Nylander, and Austin Matthews play exactly the same way. They play with a lot of finesse on the outside. They're not really physical. I mean, Matthews has tried, but they play all the same way, and that's a recipe for disaster. Uh, I think the funny thing about the Florida series is they let Brad Marchand take over that series. This guy's 37 years old. I mean, he's not the fastest player anymore, and he just completely took over that series. And then Sam Bennett, who everyone calls a third liner, you got to understand something. When you win a Stanley Cup, you're going to need those guys. When the Penguins
100%.
won the cup, they won the cup with a third line of Kessel, Kessel, Hagelin, and Bonino. That's the line that won them the cup. The third line. Like the Leafs don't have any of that. They have no third, no fourth line, despite trying to trade for Scott Lawton and get Brandon Carlo. They just don't have any depth. And then when your top guys don't score at all in the playoffs when it matters most, you're not going to win. So that your result is Florida has 3 finals appearances and the Leafs have two series wins in the last 10 years. And so the Shanahan plan was always doomed to fail. And here's the thing: as much as I blame Kyle Dubas, this is on Shanahan, and here's why. Shanahan is the one who approved all the contracts. He's the one who approved the John Tavares deal before the kids got paid. He's the one who said to Brad Treliving, "You can't trade Mitch Marner before his trade clause is up."
Yes, sir.
Okay, I guarantee you that when Dubas got fired, and I'm no Kyle Dubas fan because he's destroyed my Penguins, okay? But Kyle Dubas, I guarantee you, went to Shanahan, went to the ownership and said, I want to trade Mitch Marner before his trade is up. And basically said, no, you can't do that, and they fired him. Then when Treliving came in, one of the first things he said was, I'm keeping them together. And then Marner is one of the first players to come out and say, at least he believes in us. So I guarantee you that conversation happened where Treliving was like, look, I might want to trade this guy. And I said, no, you can't trade him. And so he was allowed to stay here, risking the fact that he was going to leave for nothing. Now you got Nicholas Roy, who's an okay player, but they had a chance to get him for Rantanen. Marner said no because he just had a kid. And he had that right to say no because he has a no trade. So they completely screwed up the contracts, the trade possibilities, everything. And now they lose Marner for nothing.
And at the beginning of the year, if I'm Shanahan, I go up to Marner. I go, listen, if you're not going to sign here. If you don't, your intentions are not signing here with the Leafs. Then give me a number of teams, so I can trade you to. That you're okay to willing to take your no trade clause, and thing because Trey Living gets in here. He's got these 4 contracts that are freaking taking up half of the space of the team. Don't get me wrong. The man did try to. He made a competitive team better than Dubas did in all those years that he was here in this first season.
Yeah.
So I can't. You can't complain about Tree Leaving's job and
Yeah.
the trades that he made. It was the team was competitive.
Yeah.
I'll give them that. Okay, they did the 2 games that they all played, but still, like the team was more competitive than the previous playoffs teams that the Leafs had. That I give him that. But this was all on Shanahan. Because if Shanahan's smart, he goes to Marner, hey, listen, give me a couple of teams that you want to get your ass traded to. Because if you're not gonna resign here, then we're gonna get at least something back for you.
Yeah.
They're even lucky he accepted this trade and sign and trade
Yeah. He
because
had to.
because not really, he didn't have to, because if he
No, because
wanted to be.
Vegas didn't have the cap space, so
Yes, I
yeah,
understand that,
yeah, so
but
they had to
like,
do it.
but he could have gone. He could have gone to the Hurricanes or somebody if they wanted to,
Right.
because they were offering him way more money than
Yeah.
Vegas did.
Yeah.
So it's not like if he wanted to be an asshole, he could have left for free, and
Sure.
the Leafs would have been tied with their hands behind their back
Well,
and telling, you
we'll
know what I
get to
mean?
Marner. He is an
Yeah,
asshole,
of
but
course, of course.
we'll get to Marner and
Yeah,
explain everything. But yes, I'm happy to hear you say that you're glad it's over because
oh, 100%.
there's
They
not
had to.
very
They
many
had to.
people.
They
Yeah,
had to. They
they
had
had
to.
to get
And
and
like
yeah,
it should have been done a long, like
yeah,
2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago, when you saw that it happened against Columbus. You saw it happen against
Montreal.
Montreal. You see it happen against Boston.
Yeah,
Like,
an
how
average
many
Boston
times?
team. Yeah,
Exactly. How many times do you need to see them getting their ass kicked in the first round, knowing that, okay, these guys are not gonna, they're not cut for this.
yeah,
They're not
yeah.
cut. Okay, get rid of Nylander. Get rid of freaking Marner. Get rid of freaking. Okay, well, Tavares, you couldn't because he was already on a
No trade.
7. But like,
Yeah,
you could have got at least Nylander. You could have got rid of him when you signed him
yeah.
to a 9-year deal. Like, come on, man, please.
Yeah, so the difference between Nylander and Marner is this. When they went to Nylander and they offered him the extension, Nylander said yes. When they went to Marner, Marner said no, and that's the biggest difference between the
Yeah,
two. So once Marner said no, Tree Living pivoted, tried to trade him. He said no to Carolina. Then they tried to do a three-team deal, and they couldn't work anything out with the three teams. That's why Marner is now in Vegas. The fact that Marner, we'll get, I'm actually not going to do this now because there's a lot on the Marner, but that's basically Shanahan, a disaster of an era, just a disaster. And
Yep.
I'll go back, and I said this before, and Jose can confirm this. This started with the Tavares contract. It's not about John Tavares, the player. That contract that they gave him, despite the fact that everyone says it was a discount because he could have got 13 million from San Jose, 7 years, 77 million is not a no contract. It's a big contract. And you got to understand when you did that and didn't pay the kids yet, it was always going to be a problem getting discounts on the kids. And they didn't get discounts on the kids. Matthews got 11, Marner got 11, and Nylander got 7. And so you were always going to be up against it once he got that contract. When you rush a rebuild, that's what's going to happen. And I said at the time, it's like your window may be closing because now you can't sign anyone around the players that you had, and you can't get discounts on those players anymore. Remember, at this time, Matthew Tkachuk was signing for 9 million. Braden Point was signing for 8.5. Nick Kucherov was signing for 9.5. Leon Draisaitl was signing for 8.5. Meanwhile, the Leafs are giving 11 to 3 different players and giving Nylander 7, which turned out to be a good deal. So it's like, and then you had to re-sign Riley for 7.5. And by the time you got 5 players making $50 million, and you can't, there's nothing you can
and
do.
and the cap wasn't going up either. That's the problem
Right.
too.
And I know
And
everyone wants to blame COVID, but let me tell you something. None of the other teams acted like Dubas saying, hey, the cap's going to go up, so let's pay him this much. The other teams were still doing bridge deals. We're still doing longer contracts with lower cap hits. Okay. And don't give me the tax garbage because when Florida was bad and Dallas was bad and Tampa Bay was bad, nobody gave a damn about the tax. It's now that they're good that everyone's talking about the tax. Okay. The Vegas Golden Knights have tax. And guess what? They kick players out when they're garbage. They put people on long-term injured reserve. They do whatever they can to get the player they want. Guess what they did to get Marner? They traded Roy and they put Alex Pietrangelo on long-term injured reserve because he's got having hip surgery. That's how they got Marner. Vegas finds a way. You may not like it, but they find a way to make their team better every single year. So keep that in mind. Now, let's go to, now that we're done with the Shanaplan, which I called the Shitaplan. Let's go to, I'm going to love this topic, Masai Ujiri. Now, Jose, I have a lot to say on Masai Ujiri, and I've said it on other shows. He has been relieved of his duties after 13 seasons with the Raptors and won championship and a whole lot more. Before I say a word, what are your thoughts on the firing of Masai Ujiri? Now, I understand that it was a cost-cutting measure, but I'm here to tell you that's not the only reason he was fired. Jose, what are your thoughts?
listen, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes there. Maybe you know more than I do, but I think it's a horrible move.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
since the like was when I heard that I was in shock. The man the man. Okay, lately the teams have been struggling and they've been losing. But then again, when you have a player coming out this at in the preseason saying that this year they're gonna try their best, but they're not gonna to kill themselves because
Was
they're
that
basically
Jakob? That was
yeah.
Jakob Pertl. Yeah.
Come on, dude. Like you're basically telling that, yeah, we're gonna play, but we're gonna probably, freaking tank for the most of the majority of the season because we want a high draft pick. Then that just shows you're just throwing away a season of basketball just like that. Um, Listen, the man. I don't know if he has any other things going on behind the scenes, like if
He
he's gonna
does.
have.
He does.
Yeah, there you go. So that's why maybe because that's why they've tried to fire him and stuff like that. But I don't understand the move honestly. Even if it's just to cut his salary, the man deserves what he got. The the man brought a championship to Toronto. You know how hard it is in basketball, especially in basketball, to bring a championship to Toronto. I don't think we're probably never gonna ever see the Raptors ever win a championship ever again. I don't know, man. I don't the
We'll
way the
see.
way the way this team is built, and I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see no superstars coming here. They have possibilities of trying to get superstars, but nobody even if like right now Giannis, everybody thinks Giannis. He's not coming to Toronto. I'm sorry, but he's not going to come to Toronto because the Raptors, unless they're going to trade all their first round picks of the future, who are they going to offer in players? You're going to offer them like they're probably going to want a Scotty Barnes back in return, and you're not, and that's the whole point is to get somebody to so Scotty Barnes could be your a second option because I'm sorry, Scotty Barnes is not a first option player.
No, he's not.
Like
I'm
he's
not
not
even sure he's a second option.
exactly like you know what I mean. Like so, I don't know. There's not going to be no way of them to get superstar players
So
here.
yeah. So you said a lot there, Jose, and a lot of what you said makes a lot of sense. And a lot of it is why Masai is no longer here. Now let me explain. Now let me get the first part out of the way because I know a lot of people are going to watch this show and say I'm a hater. So let me get this out of the way. When Masai got here till 2020, he was excellent. He made great trades. He got Kawhi Leonard and fired Dwayne Casey for Nick Nurse. He made all the right moves. Now, maybe not all the right moves, but he made the right moves when they had to be made to win our championship. He gets credit for that. A lot of it was luck. He almost traded Kyle Lowry to the Knicks until James Dolan said no. That the whole Raptors situation going to change based on that. So there's a lot of luck involved when you're being a GM. However, he gets credit for that championship. After the championship, going forward, he's been one of the worst GMs in the league. And that to me is why he's gone. Now, yes, there is a major financial position that is being talked about and is correct. He was getting paid $15 million. Keith Pelley came out and said, I'm not paying presidents. So that meant Shanahan had 1 year left, and it meant Masai had 1 year left. And that's what happened. Shanahan's gone. Masai got 1 year under Pelley. They won 30 games. They didn't tank properly, and they got rid of Masai. Now, the reason why Masai is gone is because since 2020, he has made no good moves. And I mean bad draft picks. I mean not getting enough for Pascal Siakam, waiting too long to trade him, not talking to him about an extension, completely ghosting him, your best player, when he wanted to talk about an extension, then trading him basically for nothing. Now, you can say that it resulted in Brandon Ingram. That's fine. But at the time, he was traded for 3 low first rounders and no significant roster players. Bad move. He traded OG for IQ and RJ. OG was the best player in that deal. The jury's out on IQ and RJ, who you had to pay almost $65 million to. Okay? The Raptors currently are the highest 30-win roster I've ever seen in my life. They're up against the cap, and they've won 30 games with this roster. That's on Masai Ujiri. Okay? They got nothing for Fred VanVleet, who was an all-star. They just let him leave for nothing. They got nothing for Gary Trent Jr., who was insanely traded for Norman Powell, who was almost an all-star last year. They traded first-round picks for Thaddeus Young. They drafted Christian Koloko and let him leave for nothing after a blood clot. There have been a multitude of things, and I'm even missing some, that have happened with this team that has turned them into the what they've become. And that's on Masai Ujiri. Now, for those who want to blame Bobby Webster, this is no different than Kyle Dubas and Brendan Shanahan. Whenever Bobby Webster wanted to do something, he had to go to Masai for permission. That's why Bobby Webster is getting a 1 year sort of extension tryout as the main guy, because he never really had the team to himself. So Keith Pelley said, okay, I'm going to get rid of the $15 million man, and I'm going to give you a shot on your own and see how you do. So Bobby Webster, you got 1 year, and then they're going to hire a new president, and your ass is going to be gone. It also means that Darko's on a 1 year contract as well, which is a good thing, by the way. So I look at it that way. Yes, Masai has done a lot for the city, for the community. He's been a great man to the Raptors organization. But we're at 13 years, and the last 5 have been terrible. And the team has gone into the shitter. They won 25 games, and then they won 30 last year for reasons I still don't understand. Why you played Scotty Barnes as many games as he played last year, I do not understand. Why you were half tanking the whole year doesn't make any sense either. We're going to play Jakob 1 game, then we're going to sit him 1 game. We're going to play RJ 1 game, then we're going to sit him 1 game. Then we're going to play everybody. We're going to be winning in the 4th quarter, and then we're going to try to sit everyone and lose by a point. It never made any sense. It still doesn't make any sense. And I'm sorry, when you run your organization like that, you're going to get fired. So I'm sorry. People are going to start to realize it when they look back why he was fired and not just say it was because Keith Pelley fired him for money. And they're going to realize, oh my God, this team is in shambles right now. And they are. They are up against the cap with a 30-win roster team. People are making money on this team. Okay? Everyone got paid.
You
And
know,
without proving anything.
but honestly, and you can be the like you probably gonna agree with me. Majority of the games last year, they could have won those games. They could have been a 500 team last year and make the playoffs like a 10th in the top like nine in the nine
So
team. They
the
could have.
Rap the
There was a lot
Raptors
of games
season,
last year. There was a lot of games last year that they threw the game away because they would rest their starters. They would be winning, and then the fourth quarter, the
yeah,
last 10 minutes, they would
yeah,
just lose the game. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like so,
yeah.
if they wanted to win those games, they would have freaking won those games. But the problem is, it's just you're gonna tank or you're gonna win. What the hell
Yeah.
are you gonna do?
They didn't make any decision.
And then that caused them to freaking lose the freaking lottery draft pick,
Right.
even for a higher chance. But anyways, that was all rigged already for Dallas to win number one.
Yeah,
So
I
don't
know.
even get started on that.
I know.
How a team like that with like 1.9 odds to win the draft and they end
Two
up
years in a row.
get out of here, man. That's
Yeah.
the biggest bullshit I've ever seen in my life. But anyways,
Yeah.
keep.
Yeah, Jose, the Raptors season was such a mess. So they started the year and they were very competitive in October. They were playing close games with good teams, but they would lose. So everyone was excited. Then November and December, they were the worst team in the league. They were 1-16. They had a really tough schedule. They were the worst defense in the league, and they went to second last in the NBA. January was not much better. Then in the middle of January, for no reason whatsoever, they started to play Chris Boucher. Now, Chris Boucher is not the greatest player, but he's an energy player and he gets people going when he plays. You know this from me playing ball hockey for many years. I was an energy player who, when I played hard, everyone else saw it and got going. When I didn't, everyone else saw that too. So they won 6 games in a row in January, and that brought them from second worst to fifth. And then what happened was they had a really weak schedule and they beat teams that were also tanking. Utah, Charlotte, Washington, Brooklyn. They just had the schedule. Philadelphia was tanking. And all of a sudden, they win 30 games. So what the Raptors could be and could not be is completely unpredictable because they were one of the worst teams in the league for a stretch. They were very competitive for a stretch, and then they beat a bunch of bad teams who were also tanking. So nobody knows what this team is, but they won 30 games. And as I like to always say, you are what your record says you are. We saw this with the 49ers last year, who were 6-10. They deserved every bit of that 6-10. Okay. So in my opinion, and I understand why you say it was a bad move. Most people agree with you, Jose. I think Masai was fired on merit and not necessarily just because of his salary, but he was definitely also fired because of his salary. And so, who they get to replace him is a great question that we won't have the answer to for a while. I would hire Bob Myers, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen because the Raptors are probably not going to spend that kind of money.
Probably gonna be
Um,
they're taking president and GM bullshit.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
probably if they have a good year this year, they'll put him as a president GM type of thing.
yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the Raptors' upcoming season is a big mystery. We'll get into that when we talk about the Raptors more specifically. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Masai. The Raptors have been a mess for 5 years now. I mean, not getting a center for all of those years to back up Jakob Poeltl. The extension for Poeltl is an interesting one. You're giving a 30-year-old center $28 million a year. That is just, I mean, I don't know about that one. So they just have a lot of really bad contracts right now, and this is going to be their team for the next 3 years. And if you like mediocrity, then this is the team for you. If you don't, then you're going to be like me, and you're not going to like it very much. But we'll see what happens with them this year with the addition of Brandon Ingram, who
Yeah,
is
that's
just, who's as injury prone a player as I've ever seen. But if he's healthy, maybe
he,
they win some more games this year. So, I think there'll be a 500 team. There'll be a play-in team. We'll see where it goes, but we'll talk more about the current Raptors when they get closer to the preseason. Because I don't care about summer league. It means nothing to me. Um, Now let's get to. I know this is a topic not many people will care about, but I want to talk about this because it's Toronto FC. Now, Toronto FC is not, they're not high in the totem pole. We won't go too much into this, but Jose, it was supposed to be a dream decision. Let's add a young enough Lorenzo Insigne coming off a European championship where he's one of the best players on the team, coming off a great career in Napoli, and let's bring in Fernando Bernardeschi, who's an okay player, free kick specialist, can make some nice passes, but is an outside player in Juventus and an outside player for Italy, but could be a really good player in MLS. He was better than Lorenzo for Toronto FC, but both players were gigantic failures. Now, I'm not the soccer expert. I watch, and I'm much better than I used to be with solid soccer knowledge. But Jose, how bad of a failure was this Italian job that
Listen,
Toronto FC tried with these two
it was
players?
horrible from the beginning. When you're paying the man
Second
as much,
highest in the league behind Messi.
yeah, as much as Lionel Messi basically, and he's playing one game and getting injured for another 2 months, and it's okay. Listen, Bernadeschi had his games. He had his
Yep.
games. He played good. Some games played bad, but
All right, we're back. Sorry about that. A little technical difficulty. The camera freaking all of a sudden stopped. So, like, Jose was in the middle of saying what he thought about the end of the Italian job for Toronto FC. Jose, your thoughts?
horrible from the beginning. I even told you when they signed those two idiots that it was a bad decision by the team. Listen, the only designated player that ever played well in Toronto was Giovinco. Um, and he was young when he came here. He was like in his early 20s. You know what I mean? Like you can actually see the man was talented and he wanted to be here. He loved playing for the team. These guys were just basically here for the money. Insigne, buddy, he's the worst one of them all. Like the man would play 1 or 2 games, get injured, then he would be missing in action for like months, weeks. And you don't, as a designated player, you need to be on the field. You're the highest paid player on the team. You're one of the most important guys on the team, basically. And that was they should have done this already, like last year. At least a senior, they're trying to get him rid of him, but he came back. They at the beginning of the season. I don't know if you were paying attention. They tried to get rid of him, and he didn't want to because he's still under contract, and so technically they would have to buy him out or let him play for the rest of the season. So they did the smart decision, buy him out, get him out of here. Bernadeschi too. Now listen, with that money, with that the designated player spots, you get young kids like Argentinian kid, Colombian, whatever, man, like some young blood that okay, give him 20 million, give him 30 million, whatever the hell it takes to get rid of him from these teams. Like, you can find so many good young kids nowadays, man. These kids all nowadays, they just want money. Like you can see these kids, the guys that go to play in Saudi leagues and stuff like that, and they used to go play in the China league when it used to be all about the money. It's just about money now. So these kids, will, if you throw $20 million in front of them, they will sign you with you right away. Like, where are they gonna make $20 million in their home country? They're not. So
Yeah.
like just get better, man. Like it sucks, man, because the team actually was playing well when they had Bradleys and Giovincos, and it was fun. Like watching these guys, stadium was full, packed,
Out the
everybody
door.
going crazy out the door. You know what I mean? Like now you look at them and then you're like, what the hell is this? Like these guys, but I think my amateur team will probably compete better than these guys will. You know what I mean? Like it's sad. It's sad, but
Yeah.
hey, it's clean house, man. You know what? I
Yeah.
don't I don't I don't mind I don't mind what he's doing. He's saving the team money, and with the designated players now, he can bring in somebody better, and that's it. It is what it
Yeah.
is.
Again, don't disagree with Keith Pelley here. This had to be done. It's a long time coming. Uh, I loved Lorenzo Insigne when he was in Italy and Napoli. He was an unmitigated disaster for Toronto, and the attitude that he had with it must have been four or five different coaches, Jose, at least. I mean, even John Herdman couldn't get anything out of
Yeah,
him.
it was Bradley, it was Herdman, it was Varney, it was all these guys, and now these
Nobody.
last
Yep.
nobody
Yeah.
could get anything out of him, and it's true. His attitude sucked. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm just here to get the money. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. If I
Yeah.
play, I play. If I don't play good, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
can't be
Yeah.
like that.
Another disaster. I hope it gets better for Toronto FC. I enjoyed watching them in the Javinko days. I'm actually probably going to be going to the Atlanta United game on Saturday because tickets are only $40. So I wanted to take my son. I want to take my son to watch soccer because he's been getting into soccer recently.
Nice,
Eight-year-old
nice.
kid. So like I can't. I'm not. There's no way I'm going to be able to go to the World Cup games. It's going to be like $10,000 for a freaking ticket. So I said to him, "Look, we'll go watch Toronto C. They're bad, but I can still teach you what's going on in the game." So, but it's sad what's happened to them. I'm hoping that they're able to cut like they did and rebuild like they did in the past. But man, it's tough, especially now when you have teams like Inter Miami and even the other teams that are smartly building their teams with young players. So we'll see what happens. But again, necessary move by Keith Pelley. Now let's get to your boy. Now this is a player that I affectionately call MIA Arner, and there's a reason for that. See, all I had to do was add an I to his name because that's what he is in the playoffs. Mitchell Marner, a man who scored 0 goals in games 5, 6, and 7 in his career for the Leafs. That's really, really hard to do. Like zero. And only 7 assists in those 20 games. Um, he has become a lightning rod in Toronto. A player who scored 100 points for the Leafs this year, but nobody cared. That's how bad it is for Mitch Marner right now. This is a player who I call the magician because that's what he is on the ice in the regular season. Had a career high over 70 assists this year, but he's a smallish, shy, doesn't want to talk to the media type of player. And when the going gets tough, he's not going anywhere near where it's tough, which is why when he plays teams like Florida and Boston, they're laughing because they know that he's not going to go into the dirty areas. They know that he's going to flip the puck over the boards when he's put under pressure. They know he's going to do a spinny backhand pass from his own zone to set up a Florida goal and not skate back to prevent the play from happening. And so Mitch Marner has been a very polarizing player in Toronto, but a player that definitely failed the Leafs in the playoffs. And he's not alone. He's not alone. Austin Matthews, Morgan Riley, and in parts, John Tavares and William Nylander, who's been good in the playoffs, but also disappeared in the last 4 games against the Florida series. But Mitch Marner in particular, because of the way his contract negotiation went, because of his father, because of what he said in the media, calling himself a god, just really, really, really hurt his standing in Toronto when he didn't show up when it mattered most. And then when he showed up in the Four Nations and set up the game-winning goal for Canada and scored an overtime winner for Canada, and then basically told everyone that he was planning his move to Vegas from that point on, it was over for Mitch Marner in Toronto. And the vitriol has been explosive. And I'm telling you right now, when that schedule comes out and Vegas comes to Toronto, you think John Tavares was bad when he went back to New York? Just wait till Mitchell Marner comes back to Toronto when he's in a Vegas uniform wearing number 93, Doug Gilmore's number, a number that he wasn't allowed to wear in Toronto because he plays nothing like this man. Jose, what are your thoughts on the end of the Mitchell Marner era in Toronto?
Listen, I've told you 1,000 times. The man can put up 200 points in the regular season. Regular season is not nothing compared to what playoff hockey is. Regular season is more open ice. Guys like to do their things,
Power
whatever. Just
plays.
power plays, exactly. When it comes to the playoffs, you need gritty guys, and he's not a gritty guy, and he's not gonna get the job done. and I don't give a shit if Vegas has they win the cup. It's not gonna be because of him. I can guarantee you that, because he's not a player that's gonna help him win the cup there. He's not that kind of playoff hockey player that you need. Listen, um, as he's for sure he's gonna get booed when he comes back. That
Oh
I
my
can
God.
guarantee.
Oh yeah.
You know what, they'll have a couple of cheers because the man, you know what, he did like playing in Toronto. You know what I mean? Like it's not like it's not like he's, how are
I
you
think
gonna
it's the
explain
way
this?
he left, Jose. The way
Yes,
he left,
exactly.
it's gonna
I
be
think
bad,
if
man.
he kept his mouth shut, if he kept his mouth shut and just went to Vegas and did what he had to do in Vegas, that would be totally fine. I think time's up, whatever is, but no, then you start running your mouth about, oh, I didn't accept the contract because I didn't want my family to leave. I had a baby, this and that. Now you're just digging yourself a hole. And trust me, the Leaf fans already hated you as it was, and now they're gonna hate you even more for you just opening your mouth. And you're lucky you're leaving to Vegas because your car would get jacked again, like last time. Okay, yeah. Do we remember that?
Yes, I
Yeah,
do
exactly.
remember that.
So
Yes.
so that's why now he's going to Vegas supposedly because Vegas is more safer than Toronto is. I doubt that, but anyways, he's probably going to get himself into trouble at those burlesque houses in Vegas. Never mind.
And there's going to be
Um,
pressure there too,
yeah,
Mitchell.
of course there is, man. He's the highest paid player on the team. He's
Yeah,
making $12 million, buddy. You
more
bet
than
you're gonna.
Stone, more than Eichel,
Yeah,
more than yeah. Watch out.
he's gonna, okay, don't get me wrong, he's gonna put up his numbers in the regular season, but then what matters is in the playoffs. That's what they're gonna want is him to put up those numbers in the playoffs. And as the past 9 years or 8 years that he's been here, he hasn't done the job. So I don't see, maybe a change of scenery might help him, but I doubt it. I don't think, dude, the guy is not built like he's like a little weakling. Like I don't know. I just think, and then wearing number 93. Listen, I understand because that Doug Gilmore was his dad's favorite player or whatever, and he wore it in London and stuff like that. He couldn't wear the Leafs because the Leafs retired number 93. That's why he couldn't wear it here.
Yeah,
But listen, he will never be compared to Doug Gilmore. I don't give a. Doug Gilmore is 1,000 times better than that guy ever will be. His pinky finger is as more worth than fucking Mitch Marner's whole career is gonna be. Anyways, don't even get me started on that because, bro,
yeah,
that's a disrespect to Doug Gilmore. The man taking the Leafs single handedly by himself to the freaking conference finals and stuff like that. Like, are you kidding me? And you can't even pass the one round, 2 rounds, and you're gonna compare yourself to Doug Gilmore? Give me a break. Um,
Let's put it this way: Doug Gilmore won more playoff series in 1993 than Marner won his entire career in
yeah,
Toronto.
currently, yeah, exactly. There you go. Like, come on, give me a break. But you know what? Like, you can't, like you said, like the man is a magician. Like, it comes in the regular season, he did put up the numbers. Okay, you can't say he didn't put up numbers in the regular season. He did help the team make the playoffs. But like, what matters is when the playoffs come, he would disappear when the
Yeah,
games matter the most. It's not just him, not just him. Freaking Matthews, the same thing. Nylander would come up, play one or two good games, and then he'll disappear. Tavares, the same thing.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
man, it was time for him to go, and it
yeah,
should have been already. It should have been sooner than it was this year. I think they could have got more for him if they had
yeah,
made this trade in the in the past. But
yeah,
whatever happened, at least they got somebody back for him, a player back for him. He's nothing special. He's gonna be a third lineman, but you know what? We need to get more gritty.
yeah.
The Leafs and get ready for the. I don't even what and but unless they go pick up somebody, I don't know if he's gonna make any more. He better make some trades because
Yeah.
the way the team's looking right now, I won't be surprised if they don't make the playoffs this year, buds.
Yeah. So here's my
Because
thoughts on the Leafs moving forward. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I think this is a really good thing for the Leafs. They had to move off the core four. They had to change. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again unless you like insanity, people. And I don't like insanity. So, you just can't repeat the same thing over and over again. Um, I think this will be good for them. They're going to have cap space for the first time in 9 years. They're going to, since Tavares signed, they're I would keep the cap space. I wouldn't just spend it and sign out on just anybody. I would hold on to it. One of the now Carolina hasn't won a thing, but Florida has. One of the best things Florida and Vegas have done, and they've won Stanley Cups recently, is they saved their cap space, and they saved it, and also used long-term injury reserve for big trades. Florida traded for Brad Marchand and Seth Jones because Matthew Tkachuk was out, and they were able to move money and get those contracts in. Vegas did the same thing for years. Tampa Bay's done it before. But like in Carolina especially, they saved their cap space, then make the big move. They got Gensel, they got Rantanen. Didn't work out, but they were able to make those moves. Now the Leafs can save that for a big trade and try to move other contracts out because they have a lot of bad contracts that are still left on the team with no move clauses, i.e., Morgan Riley, and or they can save it for the big free agent class coming up next year. Take 1 year where maybe they finish eighth or out of the playoffs, accept it, then have all the money in the world to sign a lot of big names. Eichel, McDavid. There's just a load of contracts.
McJesus,
Just
McJesus,
yeah, there's a
come,
whole lot
please.
of players. McDavid is one of them. Like he said in Edmonton after the final, I'm not making my decision now. So that possibility exists. It's unlikely, but there are a lot of players not named McDavid that are available as well. The Florida Panthers are not going anywhere. So whether the Leafs had Marner or not, they're not beating that team. And so the way I look at it is you finish eighth and you have a good run, your heroes welcome. If you don't make the playoffs, then you have a lot of money to rebuild the team without Mitch Marner. And think of it this way. Craig Berube is now your coach. Craig Berube won a Stanley Cup with no stars. Absolutely no stars. They had Binnington and net. Braden Shen and Tarasenko's and Ryan O'Reilly were their best players, okay, with a really good defense. The Leafs have a decent defense, no power play quarterback. They've got really good goaltending, and they've still got three of the four forwards with a mix of other players that they got. And so I think they'll still make the playoffs. They might be eighth, they might be seventh, who knows? But I don't think losing Marner means it's the end of the world because Berube will now be able to fully put his system into place. And you're going to see a lot of 2-1 games. You're going to see a lot of 3-1 games. You're not going to see 6-5 or 8-6
I know,
anymore.
100%,
Right? They're
100%.
they're going to become a Berube hockey team. Now, when Keith Pelley did fire Brendan Shannon, he basically said, "I'm giving the team to Tree Living and Berube." And so Berube is going to be involved in decisions as is Tree, and you're going to get more of their style of team. Now, will they trade for Nazem Kadri? We'll see. That's been out there. There are options, at least for the first time in years, because the Leafs have a little bit of cap space, because they save money on John Tavares' deal, which is a great deal for the Leafs. They only paid Matthew Nice 7.75 million, which in today's market with the cap going up is a great deal for the Leafs. And so they still have a lot of contracts they can move out that are bad contracts. Kemp, Yarn Croak, Ryan Reeves. I mean, nobody wants them, but they have contracts they can move. And they still have Morgan Riley, who really needs to go because he was terrible against Florida. And so I think that Leafs future is brighter than it has been before Marner was here. Now, one more thing before we go. I want to ask Jose this, just came to my mind. Jose, this really bothers me. Now, I'm not the biggest Leaf fan. I follow the team and I watch them every year, but I'm not their biggest fan. But I'm objective about them. I think it's a complete and utter ridiculous joke that um, the narrative after the playoffs were done and they lost 6-1 at home in back-to-back games was it's hard to play in Toronto. The media is so mean. The fans are so bad. Let me tell you something. Every single one of those fans that threw something on the ice, you can say what you want about them. But if I had to pay the amount of money that I had to pay to go to those two home games where they got blown out 6-1, I would be very angry too. And I want to throw some stuff on the ice and I'd want to boo your ass off the ice too. Okay? So they got everything that they deserved. Now, Jose, what are your thoughts on the narrative after the Leafs lost?
Listen, this bullshit about not wanting because of the media, that's just, I think That's all BS because if these players didn't want to play here, Austin Matthews wouldn't sign, Nylander wouldn't sign, Tavares wouldn't sign here because if they were pressured with the media and this and that. I think that's all bullshit. That's just excuses that media says so then they could put the players down. Listen, the guys that were playing, they wanted to play here. They stunk out the place. 100% agree with the fans. Listen, it's frustrating when you have to pay maybe God knows how much those tickets were for Game 7, and your team's, they deserve to be get booed off the ice.
And then your
Hundred
captain
percent.
says that all the players are passengers after the game.
Yeah, but you know what? Like you have actually found, like, he came out to say that there was players that didn't fucking put their effort into the
Right.
game, hundred
Yeah.
percent, and he has the right as a captain to say that.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong, he didn't do
He
that.
didn't play good either.
Exactly, he didn't play great either. But there was guys there, Game 7, that what the hell were they doing there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And if you're not gonna put the effort into it, then get the hell out of here.
Yeah. And you
Basically,
deserve to get booed.
100%. They deserve to get booed. They deserve for the fans to go there and give them all a beating. Never mind,
Hmm.
for buddy. If I had to waste thousands of dollars to watch a game and you get blown out 6-1 in Game 7, and you're not even trying, or you're not even like, come on, dude, give me a break, man.
Yeah.
It's listen, man. We're passionate fans. I'm a passionate fan when it comes to sports. I love my teams. I don't care if they have a shit season. I'll tell you straight, they had a shit season and this and that. This Leaf team, I told you in the beginning of the seasons, these past years, they're not going anywhere with this team.
Yep.
I've told you that even on
Yep.
on our previous
As have
shows.
I. Yep.
I've never picked the Leafs to go to the Stanley Cup Finals or win the cup or this and that. And I love the Leafs; they're my team. But you got to be realistic. Now with
Yeah.
the team that they have, they're not going anywhere.
Hmm.
Now this year, okay, they had possibilities of upgrading their team, but then again, the guys that they wanted, they all re-signed back with Florida.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
now, like you said, they have the cap space. Wait to play out the season at the beginning, see how it goes, and then, man, come trade deadline, make a big blockbuster
Yeah.
deal or make a big trade. Listen, if Edmonton's not going to be wanting if McDavid's not wanting to ready to sign there in Edmonton, that means there's something's happening over there. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Because
Yeah.
if he wanted to sign there, he would have already signed the dotted line and this and that. Dude,
Hmm.
if I'm the Leafs, I go to McDavid, I go give him a blank check. I go, listen, write whatever. We're your home team, buddy. Write whatever. How much money you want? You want 50 million? I'll give you 51. You want 60? He want 100 million a year, buddy. I'm like you could be like Cristiano Ronaldo. We'll give you whatever the hell you want. We'll even give you 10% of the Maple Leafs in buddy. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me, bro? If that
Yeah.
guy comes to the Leafs, I know
Yeah.
I like to pray, but I like to pray
Yeah.
and dream and stuff like that. But if that guy ever comes to the Leafs, hey, listen, if I'm tree living and I have the opportunity to do a sign and trade, I'm signing McDavid and I'm trading Austin Matthews out of here, buddy.
Wow. Okay.
Get the hell out because okay, wow. What do you mean, wow,
No,
buddy?
I mean, I'm just shocked. Yeah.
McDavid by himself carries the fucking Edmonton Oilers to the Stanley Cup Finals with a team like that, dude. I'm telling you right now, if he's on the Leafs, the Leaf team is way 10 times better than it is with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and stuff like that. I'm sorry, Anthony, but the truth is, Austin Matthews is down here and McDavid is
Well,
up here.
we know this, and the same thing with Drysaitel. Drysaitl's up here.
Like, it's a hundred
Okay.
percent. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, buddy, if do whatever it takes to get that guy here, because if he comes here, phew,
Oh man,
then,
is that going to be something? Oh my.
buddy, then you talk about a cup thing. Then you're gonna be pressured, and the pressure is on to
Uh,
win the cup. But
so
come on,
so
it's
that's yeah. No, no, I know. It would be there would be a parade. They would have like one of those, the when LeBron went to Miami. They'd have
yeah.
the freaking stage out and the
Oh,
parade, and they'd bring him up from the stage, and there'd be a ceremony, and you'd see his face everywhere. Oh my God, yeah, it would be insane. Hey man, it's it's not impossible. It could happen. Now I'm gonna put it on the low range because I think he'll end up re-signing in Edmonton. But it's if they Edmonton doesn't have a lot of cap space. They just re-signed Bouchard for 10.5 million. They've got the same problem the Leafs have right now. They've got 4 or 5 guys making a lot of money, and they've lost some players to offer sheets. They had to trade Evander Kane out of there. They have a depth problem in Edmonton, and they got a goaltending problem. And so they're going to have their issues. The fact that they made the final the last 2 years is solely on McDavid and Draisaitl. And so we shall see. He may not want to leave Draisaitl in Edmonton, so we'll see what happens there. But we're gonna have a laugh before we go because that's our comments on Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, Keith Pelley, all the firings. Ah, we won't get into the Jays who are having a great season and have won 9 straight games, and those lucky effers in management there are gonna probably keep their jobs as a result, but they should have been gone 2 years ago as well. But I don't want to get into that right now because the Jays are playing well. But Jose, to end our show today, what are your thoughts on Jinx Gill? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Gil Santos, of all people, who is not a Leaf fan, who's a Devils fan, who never doesn't like the Leafs,
But I was in shock when he said
went
that.
went on Instagram and said when the Leafs were going to play Florida, Leafs in 6. Now, the Leafs don't need any jinxes. But my God, when he said that, I go, oh, they're not winning now. So, Jose, what are your thoughts on Gil shocking the world and saying
First of
Leafs in
all,
6 on Instagram?
I thought I was. I had to pinch myself when he said the Leafs in 6. I had to pinch myself to see if I was. This was like real life or whatever, or it was a dream. But and then after that, then there was a disaster of of the Leafs. I even called them right away. I go, but what are you doing? You just jinxed the Leafs. They're already shit as it is. They're already cursed as it is. Now you're even cursing them even more. We just started laughing.
Yeah.
No, but listen, man. Like it started off good. It started off good. You can't say no. It wasn't.
Leafs had a
Dude,
3-1 lead in game 3 and
yeah,
lost in overtime to a Brad Marchand goal, and the series completely flipped.
yeah, 100%. And then even like that Stolar's getting hurt too was a big loss for them. He was
Yeah.
playing well. He was playing very, very, very well in the playoffs, man. And
Yeah.
we haven't had good goaltending like that in years. Until
Yeah.
like I don't remember since Joseph, like back in the day, or Belfort and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like we had actual good goaltending in the playoffs. But hey, man, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
hey, Florida is a good team. They deserve to win. They had a complete team. And at the when it matters, they came up big, and the Leafs didn't. And then end of story. And then everybody gets fired. It's like Donald Trump. You're fired.
Yeah.
You're fired. Like Vince McMahon. You're fired.
I
You know.
mean, Barry Zito, I mean, you want to talk about a GM who doesn't do anything wrong? Man, the guy traded for a second round pick for Brad Marchand. We gave up more for Scott Luck, okay? And they got Seth Jones out of Chicago, which I didn't even like that move. And the guy just fit right in and looked like an all-star. They're probably going back to the final again. There's no one better than Florida in the East right now. Although the teams that are coming up are getting better. Montreal's getting better. Ottawa's getting better.
Yeah,
Detroit's,
but they're
you
young,
know,
dude. They don't have
yeah.
that experience. Like,
Columbus is getting better. Like the teams are starting to get better now, right? So we'll see. Maybe the Leafs are. I think the Leafs are going to have a more difficult time, but I think they're still going to be in the playoffs because Berube will find a way with the way that he structures his teams. Their defense and goaltending will get them by. And let me just say this to Austin Matthews: you lost your best friend. You lost your buddy who does the dance. Okay, when Kyle Lowry lost his best friend in Toronto, he had the best season of his life and won a championship. Now it's time for Austin Matthews to step up on his own and show he can do it without the help of his
shut up
best friend.
or shut up. That's it.
Yeah,
Now it's
put up or shut up.
100%.
You're the captain. You lead the way without Marner, and you show everyone that you can do it on your own and lead this team further than it ever has been with Marner. That's it. Ovechkin had to do it in Washington. Crosby had to do it in Pittsburgh. You're the captain now. McDavid has done it in Edmonton without actually winning the final. That he's dragged that team with him and Draisaitl. I mean, basically by themselves with Zach Hyman, okay, and Bouchard. They by him could get to the final.
I
So
think he First guy to ever to win the Conn Smythe and his team loses. Oh no, did you get one?
Well,
I think.
and Hextall
Yeah.
from years ago. But yes,
But
it's only the third guy.
come on, like, are you kidding me? It was a goalie basically. It was before, and then it was I think he was the first player to ever to do it.
The guy had 48 points in
Yeah.
losing in
Come
7 games. They were down 3-0, and they came back, tied the series, and lost 2-1 in Game 7. Like, it was remarkable.
on. Don't compare the Leafs team to the Edmonton Oilers team because the Leafs team
No, no.
I think have like more players and stuff like that. Better players is the Leafs, and
Yeah,
then look what he did to with that team, like with the Oilers. Come on,
yeah.
give me a
The
break.
the difference between the Leafs and the Oilers is simple. They have McDavid and Draisaitl, and we don't. The Leafs do not. The Leafs' top players are not in the same stratosphere as McDavid and Draisaitl. That's the difference. The Leafs' top players don't score in the playoffs. And I know this is going to bother my friend Anthony Malfera, who never wants to blame the top players. The Leafs have lost in the last 5 to 7 years because their top players don't score in the playoffs, especially when it matters most. It's not on the goaltending. You can blame the defense if you want, but when your power play goes 1 for 21 and 3 for 21, and your top players don't score when it matters, you're not going to win in the playoffs. I don't care how good your goaltending is, and I don't care how good your defense is. Your best players have to be your best players, and then they uplift the guys that are playing on the third and fourth line, which we saw from Edmonton. I mean, the LA series, their third and fourth lines got it done. In the Dallas series, their third and fourth lines really took over the series when McDavid and Draisaitl were shut down. They just couldn't do it against Florida. Um, so that's our show. I really, really am happy that Jose joined me, and we're going to see more of him so we can rant and have fun shows like this. More of this to come. We will have Gil Santos on so we can defend his position on jinxing the Leafs on Instagram. I can't wait to hear his thoughts on that. He'll be back when the football season starts. And as we go along and stuff comes up, me and Jose will be talking to you throughout next year about a number of different topics. We'll go through Champions League. We're going to go through the World Cup that's coming to Canada. Believe me, we're going to have a lot of coverage when the World Cup comes here. I'm telling you. And it's pretty wide open. I'm already worried that Italy's not going to make it again the way they started, losing 3-0 to Norway in embarrassing fashion. It'll
They'll
be
be
3 years in a row we're not making the freaking World Cup. It's ridiculous.
they'll make it. Even if they
Yeah.
have to go to a playoff, they'll make it. They'll make it.
Yeah, because they expanded the field. They didn't expand the field. We bet again. So we'll see. Portugal, despite losing Jota, I think has a legit chance to win the whole thing, depending on how they use Ronaldo, who's 42 years, going to be 42 years old by the time they get there. But with that motivation of losing Jota, that could really uplift the team, right? So
uplift the team, man, and they. It already happened when Eusebio died. They said that he gave that shot power for Eder to score the winning goal at the Euro.
yeah, yeah.
Hopefully, gives
We
us.
saw this with Maradona when Argentina eventually won. We saw this with Denmark when Denmark had the Eriksson almost die on the field. They went to the semifinals. So I'm thinking this will really help uplift Portugal. And on their own merit, they have so much talent on that team. I mean, Nuno Mendes might be the best player in one of the best players in the world right now. So, yeah, Vitinha, like they're loaded. Like if they get it right, I don't know about Martinez as a manager, but if they can get it right and balance out Ronaldo's minutes and not make him the show, I think they can win the whole thing. Argentina is still great. Messi scored a goal the other day for, I know it's MLS, but the guy's still scoring goals from this halfway line going around the whole team. Like he's still doing it at 38. So Argentina is going to be dangerous. And then of course you have your France's and other teams as well. But we'll get into that when the World Cup starts. So much to talk about.
Yes.
So much. I mean, we're going to be here with you.
Sports fan.
Yes, we're watching everything. And I think every single person that's subscribed, keep liking, keep subscribing, and keep joining us. And we'll keep giving you beautiful content like we gave you today. For the Mouth and North Andrews, that's Jose Carlos Gomes. We'll be seeing you soon on the Reese Report. And since we're back to recording, you can hit my music.